Long ago, in a time when the stars were filled with many strange and powerful civilizations, the Galactic Concord ruled much of the known universe. This Concord was like a giant club made up of more than 200 different alien races. Each race had its own way of life, but they all agreed to follow certain rules so that the galaxy could be peaceful and organized. They had dealt with many problems before: rebellions, fights over planets, and power struggles. But they thought they had everything under control. Until the humans came along. Humans were new to the galactic scene. Earth, their home planet, was not very advanced compared to many other worlds. The Galactic Concord called Earth a Tier 2 planet, meaning it was just beginning to explore the stars. Humans had recently learned to travel faster than light, which was a big deal, but they were still young compared to older, wiser civilizations that had thousands or millions of years of history. Most aliens saw humans as little more than curious creatures, maybe interesting but not very important. They thought humans were like children trying to play in a grown-up game. However, Earth was changing fast. The humans were becoming stronger, more united, and more determined to protect their world and their freedom. Some of the more powerful alien leaders started to worry. They watched humans secretly, noting how quickly they learned and how they adapted to new challenges. It was clear that humans were different. They didn't just follow orders or accept their place in the galaxy. They fought back, and they fought fiercely. The Galactic Concord had a council made up of representatives from many of the most powerful alien races. These council members met in a huge floating chamber near the center of the galaxy. They wore shining robes and spoke with voices that echoed like thunder. When the humans started to cause trouble, refusing to obey certain rules and resisting galactic control, the council was faced with a difficult choice. How do you stop a planet full of people who refuse to be stopped? After long debates and heated arguments, the council decided to use an old and terrible weapon. They would drop the Draugr beasts on Earth. These creatures were not ordinary animals. They were made by combining the strongest and deadliest species from many planets, using advanced genetic engineering. The Draugr were huge, powerful, and almost unstoppable. They were war beasts designed to crush rebellions, destroy cities, and spread fear. The Concord had used Draugr before on other planets that tried to rebel, and it usually worked. It was a brutal but quick way to regain control. One of the council members, a strategist named Selnor from the Droxy race, was especially eager to use the Draugr. He looked down on humans and called them monkeys, saying they needed to be taught a lesson about real power. His words were harsh and cruel, but many others agreed. They believed this was the only way to show Earth that the galaxy's rules must be obeyed. So the decision was made. The Draugr beasts would be dropped from orbit, and Earth would be forced into submission. The war beasts were loaded onto massive ships and carried into Earth's atmosphere. From space, the aliens watched, with anticipation. They expected cities to burn, governments to collapse, and human resistance to crumble. The Draugr landed in 4 major continents, smashing through buildings, forests, and armies. They roared and rampaged, tearing apart everything in their path. To the council, it looked like the humans would soon be defeated. But what they didn't know was that the humans were not helpless. Even as the Draugr destroyed much, the people on Earth were quietly watching, learning, and planning. The humans did not panic or give up. Instead, they became more determined. They started to organize secret groups to fight back, using whatever they had available: old weapons, technology they had hidden away, and even clever traps made from everyday things. The aliens were surprised when their communication drones suddenly stopped receiving messages from Earth. For a time, the reports simply went silent. It was strange. The council expected cries for help or news of their conquest, but instead nothing came. Some thought the Draugr had wiped out all resistance, but others felt uneasy. A scout ship sent to check on Earth never returned. This made the council nervous. One young analyst from the Krelek species noticed something important. Even though communication seemed to have stopped, the internet traffic on Earth had not gone down. It was just encrypted, locked away so outsiders could not understand. The humans were not hiding because they were defeated. They were hiding because they were planning something big. Unknown to the aliens, humans had started using their technology to study the Draugr, learning how the beasts moved, what scared them, and what made them angry. They watched carefully, figuring out the best ways to defend themselves. The humans were resourceful, using both their minds and their environment. They built weapons and traps from the ground up. Farmers, scientists, soldiers, and ordinary people all worked together. They shared information secretly, helping each other survive. The Galactic Concord thought this would be a quick battle, a quick victory. But Earth was becoming something different. A planet united in resistance, learning to fight the greatest weapon the galaxy had ever known. The Council's mistake was to think of humans as weak or simple. But humans had a strength that many alien races did not. They never gave up. And so as the war beasts roamed the cities and forests, tearing down everything, the humans quietly prepared. They waited, watched, and planned their next move, ready to surprise the galaxy and change everything forever. After the Draugr beasts were dropped onto Earth, the Galactic Concord expected chaos and quick victory. From their distant ships orbiting the planet, the alien races watched with anticipation as these massive creatures began their destruction. The beasts were powerful and terrifying. They crushed buildings, tore through forests, and caused widespread panic. At first, the aliens thought their plan was working perfectly. The humans seemed disorganized and frightened, scattering like frightened animals. However, soon after the initial attacks, something strange happened. The communication signals from Earth started to fade. The usual reports from reconnaissance, drones, and surveillance ships became fewer and fewer. The Galactic Council was puzzled and uneasy. It was almost as if the planet had gone silent, but no one could explain why. There were no cries for help, no desperate transmissions asking for backup or mercy. The Draugr continued their rampage, but the humans seemed to disappear into the shadows. Some believed the beasts had wiped out the resistance completely. Others, more cautious, thought maybe the humans were simply hiding or regrouping. To investigate, the Council sent a scout ship, the Araleth, to observe Earth more closely. The Araleth was an advanced vessel equipped with the best sensors and weapons. It was meant to send back live footage and intelligence. But the ship never returned. It vanished without a trace, swallowed by the mystery surrounding Earth. This disappearance shook the Galactic Council. The silence from Earth grew deeper and more alarming. One junior analyst, a young Krelek named Mirak, noticed something odd when examining the data collected by the last working surveillance drones. Even though the usual communications were gone, the humans' internet traffic hadn't stopped. Instead, it had become encrypted, hidden in a way that the aliens could not understand. This was a big surprise. The aliens had assumed that when a planet was under attack by the Draugr, people would panic and communications would break down. But the humans had not stopped talking to each other. They were still communicating. Only now they were doing it in secret. Mirak became fascinated with this pattern. She spent long hours studying the encrypted data, trying to find any clues. What she found was a web of secret networks, with humans exchanging information, plans, and messages far from the eyes of the Galactic Council's surveillance. The humans weren't hiding because they were defeated. They were hiding because they were organizing, preparing, and readying for something big. Back on Earth, the human response was growing stronger every day. At first, the humans had been shocked by the arrival of the Draugr. The beasts were terrifying, like nothing they had ever seen before. Buildings were destroyed in seconds, and many people lost their homes and loved ones. But humans are survivors. They adapted quickly, learning from every encounter with the beasts. Small groups of survivors banded together, sharing knowledge and skills. Scientists worked with soldiers, engineers worked with farmers, and everyday citizens became warriors in their own right. These groups used everything they could find, from old weapons and vehicles to simple tools, and turned them into weapons and defenses. They created traps, barriers, and hidden safe zones. One of the most impressive parts of the human resistance was how they learned to study the Draugr. The beasts were not just powerful. They had instincts, habits, and weaknesses. Humans began observing the beasts closely. They learned how they reacted to different sounds, smells, and movements. They noticed how the beasts communicated with each other and how they hunted. This knowledge was shared quickly among the groups. The humans became clever hunters themselves. Instead of trying to fight the Draugr head-on, which was nearly impossible, they used hit-and-run tactics. They baited the beasts into dangerous areas, used the environment to their advantage, and attacked when the beasts were distracted or weak. In many cases, humans used collapsing buildings or natural traps to injure or trap the beasts. One story that spread across the galaxy was about a farmer in Australia. Using his knowledge of irrigation systems, he and his neighbors set a clever trap. They modified the water channels so that when a Draugr chased them, it would fall into a deep pit filled with water and nets. This beast was captured alive, something no one thought possible. Videos of the farmer calmly petting the captured Draugr while sipping tea under the sun leaked onto galactic networks. The image shocked many alien observers. To the humans, the beast wasn't just a monster. It was an angry and confused animal, not much different from a wild bull. This moment became a symbol of human resilience and intelligence. It showed that humans were not just surviving. They were beginning to turn the tide. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council grew anxious. They had believed that the Draugr were unbeatable. They had used these beasts on countless planets before, and their strategy had always worked. But Earth was different. The humans were not just fighting back. They were learning and adapting faster than anyone expected. The silence and encrypted communications were signs of something bigger happening beneath the surface. More and more reports from surveillance ships indicated that the humans were no longer scattered and weak. Instead, they were uniting into coordinated groups using advanced communication and tactics that the Council had never seen from a Tier 2 civilization. The Galactic Council began to question their own assumptions. Were they underestimating Earth? Had they made a mistake? The loss of the scout ship Aerolith added to their fears. Some speculated that the humans had captured or destroyed the vessel, but no proof was found. The mysterious disappearance only made the Council more cautious. They decided to send more observers, but these too failed to return. It was clear that Earth had become a dangerous place for outsiders. Deep inside secret bases, human scientists and military leaders worked day and night. They shared information on how to control or defeat the Draugr. Their efforts were starting to pay off. Humans began designing new weapons and tactics, specifically tailored to the war beast's biology and behavior. They experimented with everything: explosives, chemical compounds, even sound waves tuned to irritate the beasts. All the while, the humans maintained their secret communications hidden from the Galactic Council's spies. They built a web of networks that spanned the globe, connecting isolated groups and coordinating their efforts. This network was so complex and encrypted that no alien intelligence agency could crack it. The Galactic Concord's leaders grew frustrated and fearful. They had dropped their deadliest weapon, expecting an easy victory, but the humans were proving to be not just survivors but challengers. The silence from Earth was not a sign of defeat, but a warning. The humans were planning their next move. Unknown to the Council, beneath the ruins and smoke of their cities, the humans were not just defending themselves. They were preparing to take the fight beyond their planet. They were learning how to use the Draugr against the invaders, how to harness the beast's power for their own survival. This was the beginning of a new chapter in the war, one the Galactic Concord had not anticipated. The story of Earth's silence after the Draugr landed was a mystery that would puzzle many for years. But the truth was simple. Humans had turned quiet not because they were weak, but because they were strong, quietly becoming a force the galaxy had never expected. Their fight had only just begun, and it was about to change everything. As the weeks passed after the Draugr beasts were dropped onto Earth, the Galactic Concord waited for signs of the planet's defeat. They expected humans to be broken, terrified, and crushed beneath the might of these powerful creatures. Instead, something completely unexpected began to happen. The humans were fighting back not just in small, disorganized groups, but with a new strength and strategy that shocked even the most experienced alien commanders. The silence that had puzzled the Galactic Council turned into activity. While the aliens had watched and waited for the humans to crumble, Earth's people had been working hard, learning how to fight back effectively. The humans were no longer running or hiding. They were hunting. This was a strange idea to the aliens. How could a civilization considered Tier 2, just beginning its journey into space, suddenly become a force that could hunt the deadliest weapons of the galaxy? It began with the first human counterattack in space. 3 weeks after, the Draugr landed and the silence began. Earth's atmosphere suddenly erupted with bright plasma trails and thunderous explosions. But these were not from the invading aliens or their war beasts. These were from human-built missiles, launched from Earth's newly rebuilt orbital defense platforms. The humans had quickly repaired or built their own weapons in space, surprising many in the Galactic Concord. These missiles targeted alien surveillance and command satellites, destroying several of them in quick succession. This was more than a simple defense. It was an act of war. The humans were sending a clear message. They would not be destroyed quietly. They were fighting back in ways the aliens had never seen. On the ground, the human resistance was just as active. Stories from mercenary groups hired by alien corporations to suppress the rebellion began to circulate. These mercenaries spoke of fierce organized militias using guerrilla tactics that outsmarted even their best-trained soldiers. The humans knew their land, their cities, and their environment better than any outsider. They used this knowledge to their advantage. Rather than confronting the Draugr in open battle, the militias used clever tricks. They baited the beasts into traps, setting up fake targets and decoys to lead the Draugr into dangerous areas. They collapsed buildings onto the beasts, used explosives hidden in the ruins, and employed coordinated strikes that confused and injured the creatures. One remarkable story came from a remote village in the Australian outback. Here, farmers and local volunteers built a massive trap using their irrigation system. They dug deep pits covered with netting and carefully lured a Draugr into the trap using noise and food bait. When the beast fell into the pit, they used ropes and special chemicals to sedate it. This was the first time anyone had ever captured a live Draugr. The footage of this event quickly spread throughout the galaxy. In the video, a woman wearing a wide-brimmed hat calmly sat beside the sedated beast, gently stroking its massive head. She sipped tea while explaining in a calm voice that the Draugr wasn't a monster, but a confused, angry animal, much like a wild bull. The image was powerful, changing the way many aliens thought about the war beasts and the humans, fighting them. This story was a turning point. It showed that humans were not only resisting, they were learning to control the enemy's weapons. This was the beginning of a new kind of war, one where humans used brains as well as bravery to survive. As the Galactic Concord watched these developments, panic started to spread among the council members. The leaders who had once confidently sent the Draugr to crush Earth began to doubt their decision. They realized that humans were not the weak creatures they had assumed. Instead, humans had an unpredictable strength, the strength to learn, adapt, and fight back against impossible odds. Secretly, some aliens even admired the humans' resilience. Stories circulated about human ingenuity, their ability to turn simple objects into powerful weapons, and their unbreakable spirit. Yet this admiration was mixed with fear. If humans could tame the beasts sent to destroy them, what else could they do? The humans didn't stop at just capturing one Draugr. Word spread that rogue laboratories in Brazil and the Philippines were working on something extraordinary. Scientists there had started to study the captured beasts, learning about their biology and behavior in ways no one else had. They discovered ways to reverse engineer the Draugr's genetic code, unlocking secrets that could help humans control or even replicate the creatures. This was dangerous knowledge. If the humans could understand the beasts well enough to create or control them, the Galactic Concord's ultimate weapon might turn against its owners. It was a terrifying thought for the Council. Soon, more sightings were reported across Earth of humans using Draugr in their battles. These weren't wild beasts anymore, but seemed to be under human control. Humans wore special exosuits, protective armor that allowed them to work alongside the massive creatures safely. Together, humans and Draugr formed an unstoppable force, striking at alien forces and orbital stations with precision. One dramatic event stunned the galaxy. A science ship from the Vrain Republic, a member of the Galactic Concord, was hijacked. The attackers were a single Draugr and two humans wearing exosuits. They boarded the ship, rewired its controls, and flew it straight to a secret human base on the moon orbiting Earth. This bold act showed that humans had mastered not only survival on Earth, but were now expanding their reach into space. The Galactic Concord's military forces sent to contain the rebellion found themselves outmatched and outsmarted. The humans had learned how to control the Draugr through unique methods, by understanding the beast's senses. They used smells, sounds, and even emotional signals to communicate with and guide the beasts. This deep connection allowed humans to turn what was once a terrifying weapon into loyal allies and powerful soldiers. This transformation of the Draugr was a shock to the galaxy. The beasts that had once symbolized the Council's absolute power were now tools of human resistance. The galaxy had underestimated humans badly. The very weapons designed to crush Earth had become part of its defense and offense. As news spread throughout the stars, many alien races began to reconsider their views on humans. No longer were they seen as weak, primitive beings. Instead, humans were becoming known as clever warriors, fierce survivors, and masters of the beasts that had once threatened their world. The Galactic Concord found itself facing a new reality. Earth was no longer a planet to be conquered, but a rising power that could challenge the entire Council. The war had taken a new turn, and the galaxy watched with both fear and fascination. The story of Earth's human militias and their controlled Draugr became legendary. It was a tale of courage, intelligence, and unexpected strength. Humans had taken the beasts of war and made them their own. This was more than survival. It was a revolution that would change the galaxy forever. The story of the humans' fierce fight against the Draugr beasts had already spread throughout the galaxy, making many aliens rethink their ideas about Earth and its people. But what happened next shocked everyone even more. The Galactic Concord, which once believed it had total control over the humans, found itself facing an enemy unlike any other. A rising human empire that was taking back their planet and preparing to take the war into space. The humans didn't just defend themselves, they went on the offensive. After capturing and taming several Draugr beasts, they began to build their own army of these powerful creatures. Using their growing knowledge of genetic science and biology, human scientists worked day and night to understand the beasts at a deeper level. They learned how to calm the creatures, how to communicate with them using signals and sounds, and even how to enhance their abilities. This was a turning point. The once feared weapons of the Galactic Concord were becoming symbols of human power. The Draugr, which had been designed to destroy human cities and crush resistance, were now carrying humans into battle. These giants of muscle and fury, once feared across the stars, became loyal protectors of Earth. With their new army, the humans started to push back the alien forces. They struck hard and fast, attacking alien supply lines, destroying orbital stations and cutting off reinforcements. The Galactic Concord's ships, which once hovered confidently over Earth, found themselves retreating under a storm of human counterattacks led by the mighty Draugr. One of the most remarkable things about this new human army was how it combined old human creativity with new technology. Soldiers didn't just ride the beasts blindly into battle. They used advanced control systems, exosuits that connected them to the beasts' nervous systems, allowing precise commands and communication. This meant the Draugr could follow complex strategies, coordinate with other units, and even protect their human riders. On the ground, human cities that had once been broken and burned now began to rebuild. The scars of the initial Draugr rampage were still visible, but the people worked together with determination and hope. They rebuilt homes, schools, and factories. They created new industries focused on the production of Draugr-related technologies and weapons. The economy of Earth shifted toward war production, but it was a war for survival and for freedom. As the humans grew stronger, the Galactic Concord scrambled to find ways to stop them. The council members held emergency meetings, debating whether to send their largest fleets to crush Earth once and for all. But the cost of such an operation was high, and the risks were even higher. Earth was no longer the weak planet they had first encountered. It was a fortress with a new kind of army. The humans also made surprising alliances. Some alien races, unhappy with the Galactic Concord's heavy-handed tactics, secretly supported the human resistance. They provided intelligence, weapons, and even shelter to human operatives. These alliances helped Earth gain valuable information about enemy movements and weaknesses. One secret alliance was with a group of mysterious aliens from the outer reaches of the galaxy. These aliens had long been skeptical of the Galactic Concord's methods and saw the humans as a symbol of rebellion and hope. They shared ancient knowledge about genetic engineering, helping human scientists enhance the Draugr beasts even further. Thanks to this knowledge, the humans developed new versions of the Draugr, creatures faster, smarter, and stronger than ever before. These new beasts had improved senses, sharper claws, and stronger armor-like skin. Some were even equipped with biological weapons, venomous bites or acid sprays, making them terrifying opponents. The Galactic Concord's forces were pushed back on many fronts. Orbital battles became more frequent and intense, with humans launching attacks from Earth and from hidden bases on the Moon and Mars. The humans had secretly rebuilt their space program during the early days of the war, creating new ships designed to support their Draugr units in space combat. One of the most daring human missions involved a surprise attack on the Galactic Concord's flagship, a massive battlecruiser known as the Eternal Star. Using stealth technology and their Draugr units, human forces boarded the ship and caused severe damage. The event sent shockwaves through the Galactic Concord's leadership, showing that Earth was no longer just a problem to be dealt with. It was a serious threat to their power. As the war dragged on, humans grew more confident and ambitious. They declared themselves not just survivors but rulers of their own destiny. The leaders of Earth formed the New Earth Federation, a government dedicated to protecting humanity and expanding their influence beyond the planet. The New Earth Federation began to build alliances with other alien civilizations who had suffered under the Galactic Concord's rule. They sent diplomats and envoys to these planets promising freedom and cooperation. Many alien worlds, tired of the Concord's harsh control, accepted the Federation's offer, swelling its ranks. With more allies and more powerful Draugr units, the Federation's military grew larger and more organized. It was no longer a ragtag resistance but a disciplined and well-equipped army, ready to challenge the Galactic Concord across the stars. The Galactic Concord realized that it was losing control, and the Council members grew desperate. They increased their attacks on Earth and its allies, using every weapon and tactic at their disposal. But the humans, riding their mighty beasts and backed by growing support, held firm. The story of Earth's rise from a planet targeted for destruction to a galactic power was one of courage, ingenuity, and relentless determination. The humans had taken the worst weapon the galaxy had and turned it into their greatest strength. They had shown that no matter how dark the situation, even the smallest and youngest civilizations could fight back and change the course of history. 3. Galactic Concord, once proud and confident, now watched in fear as the New Earth Federation prepared to take the fight beyond their planet. The war was far from over. But one thing was clear. The humans had become a force to be reckoned with, and the Draugr beasts that were meant to destroy them had instead become their champions. The story reached its most thrilling and unexpected chapter when humans, who were once seen as weak and powerless, became a galactic empire rising from the ashes of war. After years of fighting the Draugr beasts and their alien masters, the people of Earth had transformed from survivors into conquerors, and their enemies were beginning to realize the full scope of their mistake. It all started with the humans gaining control over the Draugr. These beasts, once only a terrifying weapon of destruction, were now part of the human army. Through incredible science, hard work, and courage, humans learned how to bond with the beasts, communicate with them, and even enhance their abilities. This bond turned the beasts into loyal warriors who fought beside their human partners, changing the battlefield in ways no one had imagined. With the Draugr by their side, humans expanded their power beyond Earth. They built fleets of warships equipped with new technology, blending human ingenuity with alien designs captured from defeated enemies. Their new ships were fast, heavily armed, and supported by the mighty Draugr warriors, some of whom could even board the ships in special carriers built just for them. This powerful combination allowed humans to begin attacking the Galactic Concords, forces across the solar system and beyond. Their raids on supply lines, military bases, and command ships grew bolder and more frequent. Each victory gave humans more confidence and resources, which they used to build bigger armies and better weapons. The Galactic Concord, once confident they could easily crush the humans, was now struggling to keep up. The Council's once solid alliance began to crack as more alien races joined the new Earth Federation. These new allies were drawn by Earth's courage and the chance for freedom from the Council's harsh rule. Humans also used their deep knowledge of the Draugr's biology to create new variations of the beasts. Some were designed for speed, others for heavy combat, and some were even equipped for stealth and reconnaissance. These specialized Draugr units became critical to many battles, allowing humans to outmaneuver and outsmart their enemies. One of the most famous battles of this era was the Siege of Orion Station, a massive Galactic Concord outpost located in a distant star system. The humans launched a surprise attack with a fleet led by the combined Draugr ground forces and human pilots. The battle was fierce, lasting days, but the humans' clever tactics and their beasts' raw power eventually overwhelmed the Concords. Defenders at the fall of Orion Station was a huge blow to the Galactic Concord. It disrupted their control over nearby star systems and cut off vital supply routes. More importantly, it showed the galaxy that the new Earth Federation was no longer a simple rebellion. It was a growing empire with real power and influence. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Federation continued to grow. Cities were rebuilt with advanced technology, blending alien knowledge with human culture. Education and science thrived as the people worked together to create a new era of peace and prosperity. Though the shadow of war still hung over them, the Federation's leaders were careful to maintain unity among the many different species and cultures that had joined their cause. They promoted cooperation and respect, knowing that their strength came from diversity and teamwork. This new society, forged in the fires of war, was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. However, the war was not over. The Galactic Concord refused to surrender, sending massive fleets and deadly weapons to crush the humans and their allies. Each battle tested the Federation's resolve and ingenuity, but the humans kept pushing forward, their spirits unbroken. In secret, human scientists worked on a new project, one that could change the balance of power forever. They called it the Gaia Protocol, a plan to use Earth's unique environment and advanced technology to create a weapon that could protect the planet and its people once and for all. The details were kept hidden, but rumors spread that it involved harnessing the power of the Draugr in ways never seen before. As the war expanded across the stars, the humans showed they were not just warriors, but also diplomats and leaders. They negotiated peace treaties with some alien factions, built alliances based on mutual respect, and worked to rebuild war-torn planets. The Federation's vision was clear: a galaxy where freedom, justice, and cooperation ruled, rather than fear and domination. The Galactic Concord's power continued to weaken, its armies stretched thin and morale low. Internal struggles and disagreements plagued its leaders, while the new Earth Federation's unity and determination grew stronger. The humans' rise to power was not just about military strength. It was a story of hope, courage, and the unbreakable will to survive and thrive. From the ashes of destruction, they had built a new future, not just for themselves but for many alien civilizations seeking freedom. The final chapters of this epic story remain unwritten, but one thing is certain: the humans' journey from prey to predator, from victims to victors, had forever changed the galaxy. The Draugr beasts, once the symbols of their destruction, had become the symbols of their strength. And the humans, who tamed them, had become a legend, a reminder that even the most unlikely heroes can rise and change the course of history.